Hello. Today, I'll be presenting our paper, Moderation is Empowerment, Creating and Managing Women-Only Digital Safe Spaces. My name is Tawfiq Ammari. I am Assistant Professor at Rutgers University, School of Communication and Information. My co-authors are Momina and Nofal from Lahore University of Management Sciences, Mustafa Naseem from the University of Michigan, and Maryam Mustafa from the Lahore University of Management Sciences. In this paper, we report on the way moderators of feminist digital safe spaces in South Asia were affected by their roles. First, let me take you back to 2012. The first women-only parks were created in rural Pindi, the fourth largest city in Pakistan. The change came after a woman, Qurrat al-Ain Fatima, rose to the position of city administrator. Following her appointment, women in the community felt more comfortable bringing forward their concerns about the inability to escape harassment in public spaces dominated by men, which led to the creation of the first women-only park in the city. The idea of safe spaces itself is not new and goes as far back as the second feminist wave in the United States. Safe spaces are defined as small-scale settings within a community or movement that are removed from the direct control of dominant groups. In later years, these safe spaces have moved online, in essence, becoming digital safe spaces. So this brings me to our first research question. What are the motivations and mechanisms for creating and moderating digital safe spaces? In this presentation, we present some of these motivations for some of the groups that whose members we interviewed. If you want to see the full list, you can find them in the paper. So first, I'm going to introduce Cooperation for the Needs of Desi Motherhood. And of course, these are the ways that we are referring to these groups is set up specifically so as to retain their privacy, both as groups and as members. This group was started as a group for mothers and evolved to include other feminist topics. One of the administrators of the group says, I realized that the Pakistani mother doesn't have a space to talk at all. When she wasn't married, her father or her brothers would control the narrative. When she is married, her husband or her son controls the narrative. So now I allow a lot of posts where women just want to express themselves. Another group we will focus on in this presentation is Female Unity at University. This group hosted disclosures that started a Me Too movement at a major university in Pakistan. But to describe this group, we look at Hania's explanation as a moderator. So Hania's university had a Facebook group for all students, but there were times where she needed to post something she only wanted her female peers to see. For example, Hania wanted to discuss intimate health concerns, such as menstruation, with her peers. So now that we know some of the motivations for moderating and creating these groups, what are the impacts of creating and moderating digital safe spaces, specifically on the moderators? We argue that empowerment is the main outcome. It is a process by which those who have been denied the ability to make strategic life choices acquire that ability. We will focus on two manifestations of empowerment: empowerment as consciousness or power within, and empowerment in community. So again, focusing on the university group, we look at empowerment as consciousness through in the way that moderators are making wider sense of their identity in patriarchal society. For example, Mahum joined the moderation team for a university women's group to talk about everyday concerns of female college students. But with the Me Too movement that gained steam in 2020, she also started seeing herself as an advocate for women sharing their sexual harassment experiences. In empowerment in community, or power with, we see that moderators will take action to achieve broader social outcomes. Moderators devise different ways for users to post sensitive topics anonymously. This allows group members to talk more openly about sexual assault experiences. For example, moderators protected university students discussing sexual assault from legal jeopardy by introducing processes suggested by legal counsel, such as changing the way perpetrators are named on the group. So, looking at this as a process, we see that as female students start sharing sexual harassment experiences on the Facebook group, there was a need for moderators to start to see themselves as more than just moderators of the Facebook group. They are advocates for survivors. And after backlash in the form of harassment against group members, new mechanisms were developed in coordination with legal professionals to safeguard the group itself and the survivors. At the same time, the leaks and the associated threats to group members raised consciousness in other members who were now more involved in advocating for change, including institutional change at the university. This example mirrors the description of empowerment by Batliwala, who says that empowerment is a spiral, changing consciousness, identifying areas to target for change, planning strategies, acting for change, and analyzing actions and outcomes, which leads in turn to higher levels of consciousness and more finely honed and better executed strategies. The empowerment spiral affects everyone involved: the individual, the activist agent, in this case, the moderator, the collective, and the community. So now that we know that empowerment is the main effect on moderators, what are the affordances of social network sites that support or obstruct moderators in creating these digital safe spaces? We will focus on two of them in the presentation, but you can see more in the paper. First is anonymous posting. One of our moderators, Anusha, suggests that personal support by moderators might be important to help users draft an anonymous post. This feedback process is not available in the current design of anonymous posting. Facebook could provide an option for users posting anonymously to tag moderators for help crafting their anonymous post. Next, we look at blocking screenshot leaks. Leaking the identity and content of sensitive posts on these Facebook groups could lead to physical harm. One affordance that might alleviate this threat is preventing screenshots from being taken on smartphones. In essence, they would be dark images. Okay, so reviewing our main research questions, what are the motivations and mechanisms for creating and moderating digital safe spaces? We found that creating mom groups, women entrepreneurs, immigrant women groups, female university student groups, among others, are the main motivators. RQ2, what are the impacts of creating and moderating digital spaces on moderators? We argue that empowerment is the main impact. Moderators gain a new consciousness, seeing themselves not only as moderators, but advocates for social change. And finally, RQ3, what are the affordances of social network sites that support or obstruct moderators in creating digital safe spaces? We address two of these, which is anonymous posting and blocking screenshot leaks. But again, more in the paper, including crowdfunding infrastructure, evolving moderation algorithms, and new membership screening. Thank you very much, and we look for your comments and questions.